A year ago, mysterious glowing spheres appeared in the sky worldwide except for the polar regions and some areas in Russia. Many governments tried to attack them, but this only caused them to multiply. Drones and satellites took samples from the spheres, and it was decided that they weren't dangerous as long as they didn't provoke them, so people kept living their lives normally while ignoring them. Planes couldn't fly anymore, so people started flying by using air balloons. One morning, a sphere crashes on Korea and the military immediately closes the area. One of the soldiers tries shooting at it, but nothing happens. He changes bullets for an actual bazooka to try again, but this doesn't cause any damage to the sphere either. Suddenly, the sphere starts glowing and a screeching sound can be heard as a terrifying creature comes out. 4 weeks later at Sungjin High School, Miss Yoon-young announces that admissions for colleges have been cancelled. Then she turns on the TV to watch the Minister of Defense address the nation. The government needs more people to fight the aliens, so high school seniors will be drafted together with adults. Education will still be prioritized, so military training will happen after class and students will receive extra credit for college admission. The students start freaking out, but Yoon-young explains teenagers are only being trained as reserve forces, so that they don't have to worry. Then she hands them the military training consent form, which must be signed by their parents. After Yoon-young leaves the classroom, Ilya starts harassing Young-hoon. Since this happens every day, Young-hoon finally snaps and starts hitting Ilya. A fight ensues in the classroom and it goes for a while until the other boys finally dare to separate them. At that moment, the military arrives to start organizing the training program. That night, all the kids discuss the training with their parents. Some of them join because they want the extra credit or to be with their friends, while others don't want to join and are forced to anyway. The next morning, the students arrive at school and notice the soldiers are protecting every corner. Yoon-young introduces her class to First Lieutenant Lee, who will be in charge of this group. He explains that training will happen after regular classes and appoints the class leader Yu-young as the senior private. He also asks Chi-yeol to be in charge of recording videos for their parents. Lee reveals that there's a reward point system. 10 reward points make 1 extra credit and 30 demerits lead to a discharge. The students are shown their barracks because parts of the school have been converted into a military base. They're given uncomfortable beds in classrooms and told to get rid of anything non-essential like phones and makeup, which is making some students already regret signing up. None of them is taking this seriously yet. Then everyone goes outside so each student can receive a real gun. They treat them like toys in a video game, so the soldiers have to scold them, and Lee reminds them to take care of their firearms as it's the only thing they can rely on during war. The students spend the rest of the day running to start building up stamina. That night, everyone records a video for their families. Some of them whine about the hard work, while others hope their relatives are fine. The boys come together around Ilya's phone when they discover a video that leaked online, showing a bunch of soldiers killing something off-screen. Lee comes over to stop them, and when Young-hoon tries to leave to study in another room, Lee reminds him personal time is banned. A frustrated Young-hoon snitches that Ilya has a phone, and Lee immediately confiscates it, giving him 3 penalty points. Ilya is ready to beat Young-hoon up for snitching, so Lee punishes them both by making them take out some dirty water. Young-hoon drops the pot midway and insults Ilya, who responds with a punch. Chi-yeol sees them while taking out the trash and separates them before things escalate. At that moment, a sphere comes down and crashes against the school before landing in front of the teens. When Ilya pushes Young-hoon against the sphere, it suddenly opens up and reveals a huge alien. It uses long tentacles to grab Young-hoon and eat him whole. Chi-yeol tries to get close to the creature, but Lee arrives just in time to stop him. Afterward, a devastated Yoon-young wants to send the students home since she had been told this wouldn't be dangerous. Lee refuses and asks her to keep the secret because they don't want to spread panic. Then Yoon-young checks on Ilya and Chi-yeol, offering some words of comfort before asking them to lie too. On the way back to their dorm, Ilya pushes Chi-yeol and reminds him to lie because he's afraid he'll be blamed for Young-hoon's death. The other students heard some noises and want to know what happened, but they believe the story of Young-hoon being sent home because he got hurt. Meanwhile, Lee is having flashbacks of the sphere that attacked after the bazooka shot. It went absolutely insane and killed most of the team, which left Lee with survivor's guilt. The next morning, Yoon-young hears on the radio that 30 spheres have fallen and the government tells citizens not to get close to them. The students wonder what happened to the gym since it's been destroyed with no explanation. After last night's incident, the soldiers decide to intensify the training sooner than planned. The students are put through a variety of obstacle courses, get a CPR lesson, and are taught all the different positions to hold guns, how to shoot them, disassemble them, and clean them. This leaves them extremely tired for regular classes. One night, Ilya threatens to kill Chi-yeol because he's afraid he'll tell everyone about the incident. Chi-yeol blocks the attack and immediately runs away, managing to hide just in time. Suddenly, an alien appears in front of him and Chi-yeol, only to then wake up from this nightmare. He goes for a walk to clear his head and finds Nara writing Young-hoon's name on a get well soon message, which causes him to have a breakdown. The next day, Lee gives the class a minute to disassemble and assemble a gun. If they don't do it in time, they get a penalty. The students are nervous, but they actually do pretty well except for A-Sol, who fails the challenge. Lee makes her start over and over again, and everyone gets frustrated because they can't leave the classroom until she's done. Hours pass and everyone starts hating on A-Sol, so Lee uses the chance to remind them about teamwork. There's no room for individuality during war, so criticizing a teammate would only get them killed. The next morning the students get ready to go to a shooting range, where they'll finally practice shooting with real bullets. As they walk through the city, they're surprised to see the streets and buildings empty. Nearby there's a hole in the ground hiding a sphere. At the shooting range, there's another school already practicing, and everyone is startled by the very loud sound real guns make. The group practices for a while constantly complaining about the noise. When they're done, Lee criticizes their lack of aim and congratulates Nara for being the only one to hit the center of the target. Everyone else has practiced again and they complain until Lee promises to reward them with more points. On their way back to school, Lee tells the group to take a break. He's noticed bullet holes in the area, so he wants to investigate, but he only tells the other soldiers about it. Disobeying orders, Hirak and Taemin decide to enter a store to get snacks. When Yoon-young notices they're missing, she tells the soldiers, so they go looking for them. Then Young-soo tells the teacher that he overheard his friends talking about getting food. Two soldiers find the hole in the ground only to discover it's empty. Meanwhile, Yoon-young and Yoo-young go looking for the missing boys. Yoo-young finds a gun on the ground, and when she picks it up, she screams as she sees a hand attached to it. The students hear her and run to her spot, so they freak out when they see the hand too. Yoon-young tries to comfort her while noticing blood and shoes nearby, causing her to take a closer look. Chi-yeol tries to stop her and gets so scared that he reminds her Young-hoon died because of a sphere, which shocks everyone. The teacher still keeps going and is horrified to find the mutilated bodies of another school students being eaten by a bunch of small aliens. When she screams at the kids to run, the aliens come after her. Yoon-young desperately opens fire and manages to kill two monsters, but misses all the other shots and eventually runs out of bullets. The aliens reach her and kill her in front of her students. At that moment the soldiers come back and open fire, but one of them immediately gets decapitated. As the other soldier continues to shoot at the aliens, the students panic and start running away in different directions. They try entering buildings for protection and encounter even more dead bodies. Chi-yeol's group finds a bleeding girl asking for help, but she dies when an alien appears behind her. When it's about to attack the students, Lee shoots it down. In a different building, the aliens are also coming out. Two creatures grab a student with their tentacles and the kids hold their friend back until more soldiers show up to kill the monsters. A-Sol enters a mall and closes the doors right before the aliens reach her. They keep pushing at the glass though, so she has to keep running. In a back alley a girl is grabbed by an alien, but before she can get attacked, a soldier shoots the alien. Unfortunately, a second creature jumps on the soldier and immediately kills her. The girl runs to lock herself in a car and refuses to open it for her friends, so the two girls have to run before the alien attacks again. They hide together in an emergency cabin and press the alarm, which summons even more aliens that start cracking the glass. Eventually, Soldier Wonbin finds some students and guides them to reunite with Lee, who has also saved a few teens. They hide on some staircase while trying to keep quiet. When Lee notices the creatures following the alarm noise, he does the same and arrives just in time to shoot all the aliens before they reach the girls. There's a hidden alien that almost gets him, but it's shot by Nara. In the store, Hirak and Taemin find an alien and poke him for fun, causing the creature to attack. The boys are quickly disarmed and have to start running around the shop, constantly pulling their limbs from the tentacles as they grab them. As shelves keep falling around them, Hirak opens a freezer door to use as a shield and pushes the alien inside. The cold temperature of the freezer immediately kills the creature and the boys escape. In a parking lot, another group is trying to sneak around when an alien appears on the ceiling. The teens open fire and miss every shot, but when the alien jumps, Chi-yeol manages to capture it with a trash can. In a van, a creature grabs Woo-taek by the neck, but his friends close the car door to cut the tentacle off. Jang-soo holds the trash can down to allow the others to run, but the alien is too strong and pushes the can to escape. As the creature tries to kill Jang-soo, So-yeon concentrates and manages to shoot it first. Afterward, all the students reunite while Lee and Wonbin count the bodies and get some mementos from the fallen soldiers. Lee then explains that when the spheres fall, they divide into those small aliens, and the students are being trained to kill them. Suddenly he hears a noise, so everyone gets a position before Lee throws his helmet as bait. When someone comes out, Lee notices a human hand and tells the students not to shoot, but a terrified A-Sol opens fire anyway. The hand belonged to Hirak and Taemin, who thankfully dodged the bullets just in time. When the group returns to school, other students wonder what happened to them. Lee remembers how he protested against using teenagers as soldiers, but his superior told him that it's better to train them and give them a fighting chance. The students are too traumatized by the experience and start packing their things to go home. Lee interrupts them to tell them that it's dangerous outside and school is the safest place. Since everyone is skeptical, Lee asks them what will happen when the spheres attack their homes if they can't protect themselves. After Lee leaves, an argument ensues since some students want to leave while others think it's too dangerous. They decide to vote and going home wins. Ilya notices that Young Soo wants to stay and slaps him for it, so Yu Young calls him out for lying about Young Hoon. When Ilya starts insulting Young Hoon, Yu Young slaps him and the other boys have to stop him from making it worse. Then Bo Ra points out that A-Sol is a danger to everyone and they should kick her out, but Nara defends her. The conversation changes its tone when the students realize the adults are manipulating them with their college future and they decide to vote again. Once again everyone chooses to leave except for Young Soo, so Ilya snaps and attacks him. While the other boys push him back, Sun-Yi gets on her knees and begs Young Soo to agree. Afterward, Yu Young and Young Shin tell Lee that the whole class has voted to leave. However, Lee informs them there's no home to go to because their parents, like the rest of the city, were evacuated. The teens ask to be taken to the shelters too, but Lee tells them they're now soldiers following orders and soldiers can't just leave whenever they want. That night Lee is harsher than usual during training and the students can't take it anymore, but Lee forces them to keep going. After the training session is over, Won Bin shares some snacks and reminds them Lee only wants them to survive. Meanwhile, Lee goes to check on the sphere that fell on the school and remembers how hard the military tried to come up with weapons that could destroy the aliens. After many failed tests, they found out that only depleted uranium ammunition works. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough ammo or soldiers, which is why they needed students. After dinner, the students meet in secret to plan to escape, but first they need to know where their parents are. They choose 4 boys who to sneak around and get into the bathroom, where they remove the bars from a window. With one of them acting as a bridge, the teens climb through the window and reach the neighboring building. They continue to sneak around the school grounds, but a boy makes some noise and now he has to distract 2 soldiers, only to end up running. Soon the soldiers are chasing after the group and catch them in seconds. Then Lee punishes the entire class with some exercise while explaining trying to leave is considered desertion, meaning they'll get shot down. That night the students discuss if Lee would shoot them for real or if he was just scaring them into staying. Nobody wants to take the risk, so Young Shin comes up with a plan. The next morning the group tells the other classes about the aliens and the deaths of Young Hoon and Yoon Young. Now every student in the building wants to leave, so they run to the entrance and the soldiers have to form a barrier to keep them from leaving. However, not even a warning shot calms them down. Suddenly a sphere crashes on the ground behind them. As soon as the small aliens come out, the soldiers open fire. However, there are too many monsters and soon fighters start getting killed. Students run away in panic, but they aren't fast enough and there are deaths among them too. A second sphere falls and releases even more aliens, making it harder to escape. A team of soldiers reaches the school roof and opens fire from above to provide backup, only for another sphere to fall on top of them. Both students and soldiers keep getting killed all over the place, yet Lee never gives up. He saves teenagers as he reminds them to put themselves together. A soldier gets in a car and refuses to open for his friend before driving away, almost running over some students. However, an alien jumps on the window and the soldier can't see ahead, so the car ends up crashing. The aliens immediately rush inside to kill the driver. As people continue to die, Ilya freezes in shock and has to be dragged away by Chi Yul. Some students try hiding in a tent, but then aliens' tentacles just tear through the fabric to reach them. Won Bin runs to shoot those aliens down and allows most of the group to escape. However, Woo-Taek is captured and killed before Won Bin can save him. Since the aliens are eating Woo-Taek slowly, Won Bin mercy shoots him. Meanwhile, Young Shan is also grabbed by an alien, so A-Sol starts hitting it with a box and she has a breakdown. Nara finds a gun and joins the fight, shooting at the creatures without fear or hesitation to save her classmates. Eventually, the survivors manage to run into the school before another sphere falls and blocks the entrance. The students immediately lock the door with a bunch of furniture and objects before running to hide in the classrooms. The soldiers send them to their dorms, where they gear up and get more ammo. Next, the group makes their way to the back of the school and notices the spheres are still falling. There are bodies everywhere and aliens feeding on them. Lee divides the students into 2 teams and tells them to run to 2 different trucks while the soldiers together with Nara and Jang-Soo provide cover. Everyone starts running as the 4 shooters bring down more aliens, soon reaching the trucks. At that moment, a helicopter falls from the sky and seeing it causes Sun-Yi to have a breakdown, refusing to get in the vehicle. 2 aliens are coming from the back and A-Sol tries to shoot them, but her gun isn't working. Thankfully, her friends kill them anyway. Sun-Yi is pushed into the truck by force while the last girl slips and falls, causing her to sprain her ankle. There are more choppers coming, however they're attacked by the aliens too. The trucks take off and Won Bin is left behind. The wounded girl can't get in either and Lee doesn't see her, so she gets jumped on and killed by the aliens. When Lee finally hears this, he stops the truck, but Won Bin catches up to them and reminds him it's too late. The trucks keep moving to escape while in the city. The spheres continue to fall and cause massive destruction. A few hours later, the trucks are driving around the mountains. Suddenly, one of the vehicles falls on its side as it's revealed that an alien followed them. After killing the drivers, it moves inside to attack the teenagers, who quickly open fire to kill them. None of the students die, but So-Yun is severely wounded. While bandaging So-Yun's wound, they check their guns and realize they're out of ammo. They also notice there aren't many spheres in this area, which means the aliens definitely targeted highly populated locations. Young Shin finds a map and discovers that the shelter is 20 kilometers away. However, the students agree that it's too far to walk considering So Yun's wound and the blazing heat, so they agree to wait for help. Some of the teens look around and find a building, so they decide to hide there for now. Before leaving, Young Shin draws an arrow on the truck pointing to the direction of the house. In the building the phone isn't working, but at least there's running water. There also are tanks of liquid nitrogen and a truck in the garage, but nobody knows how to drive. June he finds a packet of ramen and hides it for herself because nobody can find any more food. They do find a first aid kit and try to help So Yun, whose fever keeps getting worse. The other truck makes it to the shelter and Lee's shocked to hear the first vehicle isn't there yet. There are hundreds of bodies being moved around and the students worry their friends may end up like that. Lee begs his superior to allow them to rescue the missing kids, but his request is turned down. Then Wonbin distracts a soldier to steal his truck keys and Lee gets ready to leave. The students overhear this and agree to join him except for Young Soo. When Lee hears a noise, he stops the truck and discovers the students sitting in the back. He tries to make them stay, but they convince him to take them along. Back to the old building, June he sneaks out to eat the ramen alone. At that moment she sees an alien and runs back to her friends. The alien chases after her, so the whole group makes sure to hide inside and block the door. When the creature crawls into the ventilator, the teens run to a different room and lock the door again before the alien jumps out. Most windows have bars, but one is broken, so they move furniture to block it. The alien continues to move from the window to the front door, waiting for them to come out. By nighttime, So Yun's condition is terrible. Her fever is back and her wound is festering. They have no choice but to use the truck, so Chi-yeol volunteers to go outside and find an escape route. He quietly sneaks around while keeping an eye on the alien and finds a window they could use to get out through the back, but he'll need tools to open it. He makes it to the garage and finds a tool, but the little noise he makes is still enough to get the alien's attention. Chi-yeol sees it in the mirror and manages to dodge its attack. Then he throws a bucket at it to distract it and runs outside to hit it with the garage door. The creature still chases after Chi-yeol, so the others hurry to open the door and help him get in before locking the room again. Young Shin then turns on the TV so the noise will make the alien believe they're still there while they escape through the window thanks to Chi-yeol's tool. As the group sneaks around, the TV starts failing and the alien hears them outside, so it gets ready to attack. While some of the boys try to push it back into the ventilator, the others run to the garage carrying So Yun, and now they have to find the truck keys. The alien finally brings down the boys, who protect themselves with a sign. With lots of effort they manage to push the creature off and run to join the others so they can finally lock the door. When they get the key, they fight over who will drive and the key falls out of reach. The alien is starting to get in through a hole in the roof, so Young Shin says someone must be left behind as bait or they won't make it. He thinks it should be So Yun, however the others think they should play fair, so they draw sticks to leave it to luck. Hirok loses, but Jang Soo volunteers to do it instead. A flashback shows him recording the video for his parents and revealing his father used to be a soldier, so he gave him lots of advice about sacrifices and becoming a villain to save a group. Meanwhile, Lee and the other students cross the city and see all the death and destruction. Eventually they find the fallen truck, but before they can move, they see some aliens nearby. They immediately open fire and kill them all in minutes. In the garage, the group retrieves the keys while Jang Soo comes out and starts making noise with a paint bucket. The alien appears on the roof and starts chasing him around the area. The truck soon takes off, leaving Jang Soo behind with the alien. A few miles later, the group finally stops the vehicle and realizes Hirok is missing. Near the building the chase continues and the creature manages to corner Jang Soo. When it jumps to attack, Hirok brings it down with the nitrogen from the tanks and kills it. Then the duo tries to leave only to be tackled by Lee because there are more aliens coming. Lee and Nara shoot them down and finally save everyone. In the morning, Lee and every student return to the base. The teens are ready to insult Young Soo for not coming, but Wonbin comes to his defense. Lee is scolded by his superior, who takes out his gun but says he'll only punish him if it happens again. For the next few weeks the teenagers have to get used to the military life. So Yun's wound is healed and she must join the others for chores. They exchange their school clothes for army uniforms and must help with the shelter's farming. They're still teenagers though, so they fight over many silly things. Keeping everyone under control is taking its toll on Yu Young. A-Sol continues to fail at the most basic tasks and Bo-Ra tells her to quit, so Nara has to defend her again. The military has only defeated 20% of the spheres and lost 50% of their soldiers. Most of the spheres are gathered near populated areas because the aliens seem to take their nourishment from humans. They've recently discovered the aliens are weak against the cold, so now the UN is developing cryogenic weapons. However, the commander points out the spheres are still attacking and they can't wait until the new guns are ready, so they should use the students to counterattack. Lee informs the students that they'll leave in the morning on a special mission to kill the spheres in the neighboring area. As a reward, they'll be allowed to go home when they're done. In the evening, Wonbin points out they should ask the students to write their last will, but Lee doesn't dare to do it. Yu Young overhears them and decides to deliver the papers herself, saying it's just a formality. Everyone still freaks out and yells at her, so Jang Soo has to defend her. The boys almost get in a fight and a stressed Yu Young leaves the tent. Jiang Su follows her and shows appreciation for everything she's done. That night nobody can sleep, so they end up writing their wills. When Li and Won Bin realize what Yu Young did, they decide to throw a little party for the students with the few resources they have. This allows them to relax and forget about the mission for a while. The next morning, each student is given a role for the mission. They're also given 2 alien detectors, although they shouldn't rely on them because they aren't perfect yet. Soon they make it to the nearest town, finding more death and destruction. At that moment the sphere detectors find something 300 meters to the southwest, so they must proceed with caution. Li finds a toy car and sends it out as bait, causing dozens of aliens to come out of the buildings. The team opens fire and starts killing creatures in every corner. After last month's training, they're much more efficient at it. There are too many aliens though, and some of the students are starting to panic, so the others must cover for them. Eventually the aliens realize they can't break through the team and decide to hide inside the buildings again. Suddenly an alien jumps from behind and gets too close, but the team shoots it down when it enters a car. The detectors can't find the others, so Li announces they'll search house by house until every alien is dead. The group splits to look around the buildings, finding more aliens and opening fire. Since now the creatures are trying to get away from them, they're getting harder to shoot. When a detector finds some creatures nearby, the teens look up to see them drop an antenna and they dodge it just in time. The best shooters stay on a roof and provide cover as snipers. The team starts chasing the aliens around town, determined not to let a single one escape. Inside one of the houses, Won Bin hears a noise and gets ready to fire, only to find a survivor called Yunsa. They bring her outside, and when she sees the bodies of her friends, she has a breakdown and passes out. Li also finds 2 survivors and everyone is successfully rescued. Once all the aliens are dead, the team goes to nearest the shelter only to discover the aliens have attacked it. The creatures are gone now, but there isn't a single survivor left. Seeing all the bodies makes the team wonder if their families are all right in the other shelters. Yunsa and her friends explain they were supposed to bring supplies to this place, but the aliens attacked and their commander abandoned them. Li wonders how the aliens found this shelter and concludes they're smarter than they thought. While the students gather the bodies and identify them, Bo Rock complains about A-Sol to Li, who tells her not to worry. All this is overheard by A-Sol. That night during dinner, Yu Young notices Yunsa leaving the table with an empty expression on her face and follows her. Yunsa grabs a gun and gets ready to self-delete, explaining to Yu Young that her friends asked for help but she ran away. As Yu Young tries to talk her out of it, Li shows up and promises he'll protect everyone. However, Yunsa doesn't trust adults anymore and blames them for the death of her friends, so she opens fire. Won Bin arrives just in time to act as a shield for his leader. The other students hear the shot and rush to help Won Bin while Yunsa falls to her knees, having another breakdown. The bullet only hurt Won Bin's shoulder, so he soon wakes up and assures everyone that he's fine. Li tries to contact the base, but the radio isn't working, so he announces they'll go back in the morning. On the roof, Nara and Chi-Yel are keeping watch when suddenly Nara sees some aliens on top of the city buildings. Using binoculars, they notice the creatures are glowing as if exchanging signals with the spheres in the sky before leaving. They rush to tell Li about this, and he realizes this is how the spheres know when and where to attack. The little aliens have been acting as scouts. Nara searches the direction they took on the map, and the group realizes the aliens will attack another shelter, so everyone agrees they must help. The next morning, Li comes up with a plan. He wants to lure the aliens into the university building and blow them up with bombs made from dynamite and depleted uranium. After working hard to make the bombs, the team spread through the university to set them up. They also activate the generator so they can use the security cameras. Unfortunately, the aliens start moving faster than expected and the team can't finish installing all the bombs. They turn on the university siren and the car alarms as bait while they run around the building to close every door and window. The aliens are moving incredibly fast and the students need to run to safety. The bombs aren't ready yet, so Li volunteers to finish the job and forces them to leave without him. Right after the group enters another building to hide, the aliens invade the university. Li finishes the bombs and runs around trying to shoot as many creatures as possible while looking for an exit. Even when they grab his leg with their tentacles, he keeps on fighting. Unfortunately, there are too many of them and he can't kill them all, so he tries to escape by jumping over the balcony and ends up hurting his leg. When he runs out of bullets, he hides in a room and radios the team to say goodbye. The group wants to save him, but Li reminds them of their mission. After lots of tears and hesitation, Yu Young uses the detonator, blowing up the university and killing every being inside. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.